Yesu Kristu pamene anabwera amunyamula amuchosa m'manda anamuwuza kuti iwe Lazarus uka. Lazarus anabwera auka ankhala mwamene analili ma sisters ake watabwera wakondwera but bantu anabwera bataba nango.
Majosa, hey Marado, hey Marado, hey Majosa, hey Majosa, hey Marado, hey Marado, hey Majosa, hey Majosa.
My name is Constance Ntombizodwa Mudenda. I supervise 3 clinics: Kanyama Clinic, Matero Main, and Railway Clinic. Our main focus in the clinic is HIV. For us, we take HIV as something that we talk about freely because we want people to talk about their experiences to help the next person.
I've watched her work in the townships. I don't know if you have, because she's like a magician. She has a way of communicating to the level of people in the townships. If we had 10 Connies in this country, we'd go a very long way to encouraging people to stay on medication, also to encouraging people to test. But you know, they're very rare.
With HIV, I've gone through a lot. In my life, I've had 3 children, and I've lost all 3 children to HIV. I lost my second-born in 1992, and I lost my first-born and third-born in 1996. In the same year, I lost 2 children. People started talking and said, oh, her children are now dead. And look at the way they suffered before they died. So she's the next one to go. She's also going to die. I started thinking about it myself. But I didn't have the courage to go for a test because in 96, we didn't even have ARVs. I didn't even know that ARVs existed. All I knew was that I'll go for a test and sit back and wait for death.
I think by early to mid-90s, every black Zambian had a family member, or at least a close friend, or maybe somebody at work that had this illness, and in those days had died because people died. And everything that I had in my training as a doctor, in my experience, was not enough. There was nothing I could do to keep people alive. And then I was one of the pioneers in antiretroviral therapy, and the hope began to rise, and then it was so expensive. And we watched people die because they couldn't afford the medication. Can you imagine how desperate that is for the provider of the medication?
Kukula kwanga nabadwira kuma protein ndiye kwane nabadwira anti watate bafa mu 89 ndiye pane tinachoka kuja tabwera pano pali bambuya kunkhala mu 96 bamayi babwa bafa bamayi kufa kunkhala mpaka tamba kufa so chape. Sister wanga afa. Mkulu wanga mwamuna afa. Awe manta sinenze kumvera ndavo baba venze kunivuta maningi. So nenze okondwera maningi na wakazi banga wenze okondwera chifuka benze ofuna kuti na beve. Bati kupola kweve ni zapola. Vananiuza chabe mushe ero futi na kuona naona hapo bantu bakwe bati bakumwa bapola. So naine wamene nichetekera ni zapola.
The reason why I went for the test was because my husband fell sick. He had given a condition. He said, no, I'm not doing that test unless you do it with me. So that's how come I went with him. Not that I really wanted to go for an HIV test, but because I was trying to save his life. Both of us were found to be positive. Within the week, he was put on treatment. That's when the tricky part came in. There was a lot of debate. What was more important? Should we pay the rentals or buy the drugs? Or should we buy food? And then when you look at all these three, they are all important. And it was very difficult to make a decision. And then one day as I was walking in a market called Soweto Market, I found people were rushing towards a white woman. And then the white woman was actually used to call people because of her strange color. So she started calling them, Bwelani, 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 which she actually meant, come, 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 come. So people gathered around her and wanted to know, hear what she was talking about. So she started talking and saying that in Kanyama, a new clinic was opening on Monday, where they were offering people to access free ARVs. I was the first client to be enrolled in that program. In 2002, we had about 50,000 people across the continent of Africa that were able to afford ARVs. But right now we have 3 million people that are accessing treatment across Africa. And that is a very huge step because that's 3 million people that are alive today who would have died because they couldn't afford ARVs. I know the experience that I've passed through. And it's one terrible experience that I would not wish to happen to another person. So I think that also gives me the strength to encourage other people, to make sure, especially children, that they have them enrolled into treatment so that they don't pass through what I passed through.
Nindino walia Margaret Little, Mount Makuru, na 11 years old. Ineno ngalama ningi sinyenda kuskulu na kuyewa kuskulu mfuna nikaende konsisowera na wanzanga nikalembe na kulemba. Ndakanda kulemba masamu, Chinyanja, English na social studies. Ine ngati mfuna nakula mfuna nikankale teacher.
Bamayi wake na tatu wake waliko karibu omuli yonse ambati supane manje yana muli na tatu wake patina una manje uchira nkatu wesi kuno tilili ni ku Chilanga hospice waina bulesa mwana yo tapena ngapezeko kutandizo opa ntabulesa kuno kuli ba doctor baja nangira banali kama tumbe nkulaba mchisa blood wa doctor nankamatia yazankala bwino azai inache buno buna kufuti na kunkala wiki amenanka irasira malinga che mufa koko nzeru mwesa mankwala ayo.
So these are ARVs and this is step 3. Right then, this one should be just taken at 20 hours only, a half tablet at 20 hours. Okay.
Walia is 11 years old, but her weight is only 24 pounds, which is very, very small for her age. She looks like 5, 6, maybe 7 years old. But she is 11 years old.
Lero nzamba kumwama nkala ya nyoani wanuza tiazantandiza.
Okay.
When government was talking about a free ART program, I was one of the skeptics. I mean, it was difficult enough for us in private practice, a small clinic, to run the tests, to monitor people, and to have people have constant contact with a medical person. And to do that on a huge scale, I thought at the time was impossible. Now we have something like 250,000 people on medication.
This is the registry room where we keep all our files. I think I was among the first few people that came to be enrolled in the clinic, and my file is right in the first drawer there. So this is my file, as you can see. And it's growing thick and thick every day that we come here. So when a new patient is coming in, they come with a yellow slip. All the peer educators in the clinics are HIV positive, to be able to tell people why they should be adhering to their drugs and what would happen to them if they stop taking their drugs. I'm going to put the names of new drugs. Adherence to medication is very important, especially to ARVs, because as you know, these are drugs that are supposed to be taken for life. They only work for a few hours in the body, meaning that if the drugs run out in the body, the virus wakes up. What time do you take your drugs?
07 hours to 19 hours.
How do you know that it's time to take your drugs?
I normally would look at my watch. I've got a wall watch in my kitchen.
But supposing you are not at home, how do you know that it's time to take your drugs? What time is it now? Can you tell me?
Around 11, past 11.
Around, past. So meaning that you are not sure.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful where time is concerned. If I look at my life without the free ARVs, I don't think I would have survived 2005. I would have died. So I'm alive today because of the treatment that has come on board.
As you have seen yourselves, having come here a couple of times, people that started medication in May, they are looking very different now. They're looking very well.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah, this is real me.
Yeah. Wow, I've done a great job. I can't believe this.
When I saw that picture today, I almost shed tears. The way I was feeling in May, it was like I was already dead. And I never had any hope that again I would come back to life. There was nothing that I could do for myself. I could not feed myself properly. I wasn't able to do anything for my daughter. And after I started my medication, it was like I was being resurrected from the bed that I was sleeping in. When I was sick, I used to hide from my friends if they knew that I was HIV positive. Then they were going to keep a distance from me. That's something that used to scare me. So I thought maybe keeping it to myself was okay.
When I first met Consilia, she was a bit withdrawn. She needed someone to talk to. And then I think that was the missing link in her life. And I encouraged her and invited her to visit our support groups.
Even after I started taking my medicine, I never really had that courage to face other people about being HIV positive. The first time that I went in Kanyama, I couldn't believe that all people would be open just to talk about HIV freely. all the peer educators are also HIV positive. And I think that really encouraged me so much.
When I met her again after we had visited the support groups with her, and then she had talked to some people, you would see the confidence coming back in her. She's got the strength, a force behind her.
By this time, I'm almost doing everything. I can go for a walk without getting dizzy or anything. And I'm able to go to the market, buy some food stuff for my daughter and for myself. And today, I want to buy clothes for my daughter. I just want to get something for her. My sister Bridget, she's my immediate elder sister. She was always there to encourage me. She never gave me that distance because I was sick. When she broke the news to me that she was getting married, I was very excited. The only thing that maybe made us cry one day when we were in our bedroom talking about her getting married was like, we're not going to be together. If I didn't have any access to medication, I think by this time I was not going to be living. And I think I'm ready to take my medication for the rest of my life. For the sake of my daughter, I want to see my daughter growing. I want to see my daughter maybe also getting married so that I could be celebrating as a mother. Yeah.
We need to try and dispel the stigma. We need to bring people together so that we can break the chains. We said, okay, let's try and form a support group of people that are living with HIV. Now that time, there were very few people that were open about their status. Very few, actually. I remember the first meeting that we had, there were only 5 people that came. And then these people started saying, you said you have a support group here, but where are the people? And then there were just 5 of them. And then I said, you are the people. Why should we wait? If we have to start, if it's 2 of us, let's start. This is the only way that we're going to break this. So it wasn't easy. Every time we would call for a meeting, there would be a lot of people outside the meeting than within the meeting. The reasons being that those outside wanted to know who was in the meeting so that they can go and spread the news out there in the community that, oh, this person, we've seen them in the support group. But I think we held on and we didn't give up. And that, I think, helped in breaking the stigma within the clinic.
Dear, how are you? You're fine. Oh my God.
Paja nizomvera kuipa. Nenda kufuna tintinda ku school. Manje apa nakondwela pane napola namba nakwenda ku school. Dole vimapanga na Salome, na Lucy, na Esnat. Incha yanga pakati na itapuna pia. Timafikirira kushtaka zabana. Na kusovela game. Kasino. Kaina wanzana. Nakotama angana waniza. Sege sana.
Ndinokondwa maningi ndava mwana napola mankhwala anatenga nasebenza so ndinokondwa maningi sure.
Amene sinali kwenda school inaweza mbela bwino manja pa namba wenda namba mbela bwino napasa na number 1.
I've got a kwacha, what can I buy? I've got a kwacha, what can I buy? A nice, nice banana, a nice, nice banana I can buy. A nice, nice guava, a nice, nice guava I can buy.
Ero nambirewo kuno omuti isyali enfa bwino but nali enfa efintu ifingi fyali ekali ndo nfa bwino sana. It's only that injinga nshakwata notutotwa kuchitatumo ndabafwako balasekeramu filya nangu bwachanga nabakwata enchito ndabafwako naya ku market naya shito munani nabaletera bamba okuipika walafunese wakumene elio inenafumine kuno kulusaka naile kuli bambuya nabo panishi nale chula sana by those days. So echo nabatemenwa pani nalisho atu uyu mwana gashali kosa nechichetekero alikwata echako tukasungana balatemwa sana ko atawe boyichawa amapani tulimbinga walifa nomba wapusuka tuli na wewo tulemonana ndonfa bwino sana pantu naye manomba alasansamuka pantu nomba tulenda nankwe okuli konseri lyata twalenda nankwe nokushana alashana sana nomba.
15 milligrams of stavudine.
Like we said, we have managed to put 3 million people across the continent on treatment, but those that are really in the rural setup don't have easy access to treatment. We have people that are walking 4 days and 3 nights to get to the nearest clinic. I don't think that is easy access.
Bwana ndiza gashondo ngawa mina katsala unyo dada ndimendera nyo balandipa bamisai kabika ko kamine ngakutula tubyambo mina mapyuzi kobika so shishibe kairi tetinjishibe parifiri mwana wakaena fya mwafumine ko ali samfoko bwino pantu no kulya alefo okulya tetinjishibe omwineleza Mba chalisa fyeshu pecho na mwene sana. Tisa tampa sana okusabaira sofilia. Then kwa lisa sangi kwati balera ndati bamubike ko milopa. Then milopa ya sangi balanda titakuli at least mu makafi ya kwa alesa. Ashite fyo ashita but kwati fteti impero mulandi kuli mwine shaka bumba ewishibe. Namba pali ino nshita kwati finondi. Ineba naradeni na tampo okulwala panuma muchikonko nokutampo okula kunyukako nangu abana abaliko shishibeto.
Tonight we are having a candlelight service in memory of people that died from HIV. I always come because I feel the memories of my children should be kept alive. But it's very hard not to be angry because I've lost so much. And that time, there was no prevention of mother-to-child transmission. There was no intervention of any sort. I'm alive today because of the ARVs. And with one of my children, I struggled for years, for about 7 years. So if only she could hang on just for a few more years. You know, that is what I always think about. If my daughter was alive this year, she would have been 19. Moments of her being well and playing were very few and far apart. If she was feeling well, she liked to dance. It's not my fault, I know, but I felt when it came to my children, I could not keep them alive. So I try by all means to help other people so that they can have their children get back to health.
I have a 3-year-old daughter. She's very strong ever since she was born. She has never been admitted in a hospital. I had Natasha when I was very sick. I knew my husband was positive, I was also positive, so we expected to have a positive child as well.
If a woman is HIV positive and pregnant and remains healthy, very good immune system, very low virus, the chances of her transmitting to the baby are actually low. But now we're bringing that even lower because now in Zambia, pregnant women going to an antenatal clinic will get tested. If she's positive, she gets told. But she also gets put on the program that she can take some medication towards the end of the pregnancy so that she minimizes the levels of virus so it doesn't transmit to the baby.
My parents decided to take her for a test. The first time that I was told that she was tested negative, I never believed it. Not until they did for the 3rd time. That's when I came to believe that she was negative, and I was very excited. I was very happy. Natasha has been very helpful, especially in terms of my medication. I remember when I was very sick, there are times that she could remember that I have to take my medicine. So if she hasn't seen me taking my medicine, she has to continue asking me, "Mommy, have you taken your medicine? Can I bring water? You drink your medicine?" I remember there was this time that I couldn't eat well. And every time I could refuse to eat, then she'll be able to just tell me, "Mommy, if you're not going to eat, I won't eat as well." So looking at her, I could feel like if she's not going to eat, then that would be very bad for her health. So I would just force myself for the sake of her. I really put more effort on myself. I really have that courage to say I'm able to do everything that a healthy mother can do for her child.
If the ARVs had not come, I believe this country would have been crippled to an extent which I don't know what would have happened. HIV is something that we talk about freely now because of the ARVs. And I think the impact has been seen with the huge numbers of people that are coming to access treatment right now, because people are no longer scared to come to the clinic because they want to live.
Know your HIV status.
Go for a visit today.
Know your HIV status.
Go and test now.
Know your HIV status.
I want to be the way I was those years back before I was HIV positive. I want to be strong. I have to have that thing in my mind to say I am positive, but I'm still living. Not all hope is lost.